Julian is my fiancé. He chose his own birthday gala to announce he was marrying another woman. Everyone stared at me in frozen silence. I started the applause. Then I pulled a ring from my purse and held it out like a bouquet. Wishing you a lifetime of harmony and kids before you know it. I slipped the ring from my finger and offered it. No one took it. Julian's face darkened. The girl beside him clutched his sleeve at a loss. I sighed, set the ring on a nearby table, and grabbed the first convenient arm, Whitmore's youngest, the one who tails Julian everywhere. He blinked at me. Something wrong, sis? Have you been drinking? I asked. No. I tossed him the car key. Drive me home. You've got it. 2 steps later, Julian lurched down the stairs and caught my wrist. Serena, what is this supposed to mean? I pressed my temples because a product detail leaked. We had to scrap the entire launch and start over. I pulled an all-nighter. After the dawn meeting, I drove to the next city, came back at dusk, detoured for your gift, and planned to say happy birthday and leave. It's 8 now. I've got a 10 o'clock meeting and a 6 a.m. flight to Paris. Little Prince, I'm exhausted. No patience for games. He looked dazed the way only the truly lost can. I really was tired. My head pounded like nails being driven in. Without another word, I freed my arm and walked out. Chase dropped me at my door. On my way out of the car, I handed him the birthday present I'd bought Julian, the car key he'd coveted. I'd spent months hunting that particular model. Chase hissed in a breath. For me, take the key and pick it up at the dealer. Thanks, sis. There was real feeling in that shout. Are you and Julian done? Yes. The engagement is off. If anyone asks, don't bother covering. Got it, sis. Julian had this coming. You should have taught him a lesson ages ago. I smiled, waved him off and went inside. I showered, forced my eyes to stay open through the video meeting, and the second the screen went black, I fell face first onto the bed. The next morning, the assistant had to shake me awake. I felt as if I'd only blinked. My phone was packed with unread messages and missed calls. Curious friends asked what exactly had happened with Julian. Gossip hounds wanted confirmation of a split. A few worried how I was holding up. Most agreed with Chase. It was high time Julian paid. Everyone thought I was staging a tantrum. To them, Serena adored Julian so desperately she'd surrendered her own bottom line. Julian had been my first crush way back in high school. Back then he blazed across campus, impossible to miss. I'd stepped up and confessed. Julian, can I be your girlfriend? He'd studied me half amused. Head of the class. I don't date Honoro girls. Because of that single line, I dyed my hair, got piercings, ink, cut classes, haunted clubs, anything to stop being the perfect student. Eventually, we ran in the same pack. Then one day, he showed up with a snow-white dress girl on his arm. Meet my girlfriend. I understood he didn't dislike perfect grades. He disliked me. Julian never stayed loyal, but he was never lonely. He collected girlfriends like watches. Junior year of college, he ended up engaged to me. We skipped dating and went straight to fiancé and fiancée. The label pricked him. He grabbed my throat and snarled. You trapped me this low. Know this, I'll never love you. How had I answered? Right. I'd smiled. That's fine. I don't need love, only the marriage. For 6 years, Julian paraded scandal after scandal. Flirtations, rumors, tabloid shots. Sometimes I even cleaned up the mess. Every time I asked only one question, did you sleep with her? Would it matter if I had or hadn't? My rule, if you slept with her, you're free. Oddly, he never took the out. All those women draped over him and he never crossed that line. God knows what he thought he was guarding. 3 days after Paris, I touched down, still radio silent with Julian. The grapevine kept me posted. The bride-to-be had been shipped off. Julian was bar hopping so hard his grandfather threatened disownment. He'd pay Chase double for the car. What jolted me was finding him outside baggage claim pallet under sunglasses. He said, Dad told me to bring you to dinner. Sorry, I answered. I've got obligations. I'll phone the chairman myself. He gazed at me a moment then turned away. Whatever. He threw over his shoulder. I wasn't dodging. I really did have business. Grandfather called me to the mansion for supper. Code for a scolding. I hear you and Julian quarreled. He was offering a ladder. I refused to climb. Grandfather, I'm breaking the engagement. His face cooled. I allow you temper. The Vance family isn't anyone's doormat. But I never approved a rupture. Grandfather, I am ending it. He slapped the table meal. I knelt without protest. Do you grasp how much this divorce costs us? I knew exactly. 6 years of deals intertwined with Lee. Untangling would FLES. If I recoup the loss first, his fingers drummed the mahogany. Recoup it, then we talk. I left the estate and texted my rival. Sterling, want a wife or not? Marcus had always been that child. The name parents brandish like a whip. Whichever phase of life you were in, someone was sighing. Why can't you be more like Marcus, an overachieving deity? He considered degenerates background noise. I only intersected with him once I took the helmet advance. Yes, formidable but not invincible. Last month we fought over a waterfront parcel. I beat him by 3% razor thin and still bragworthy. Hours passed. Marcus finally bit. ? I bolted upright in bed and laughed out loud. I rang him at once. Sterling still burning the midnight oil. Polite chuckle. Vance, to what do I owe the honor? About my earlier question, has it piqued your interest? Silence stretched. Wife, he repeated. I actually shivered. That single syllable shot straight to my skull. That blunt. Should I fire back with something equally direct? Before I could decide, he spoke again. So Deputy Vance is moonlighting as a matchmaker. Now, phew. At least my mouth hadn't outpaced my brain. Mainly because Chairman has reached the age where marriage seems advisable, and I happen to have a suitable candidate. I wondered if you'd be interested. Who, me? A silence you could slice with a steak knife. Quietly, the flute of departure plays. Silence is tonight's Cambridge. I glanced at my phone. Call ended. Grass. Yes, the green stuff cows eat. No way I'd throw in the towel that easily. So the next morning, I marched straight into Marcus's headquarters. He slipped off his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose when he saw me. Deputy Vance, what can I do for you? Playing amnesia. Chairman, will you seriously consider marrying me? Guaranteed profit. Zero risk. He studied me. You're actually serious? You thought last night was a joke? No. I thought you were drunk. Fair enough. I gave him my most sincere look. So what about now? Will you consider me? Marcus looked me up and down. Word is you and Julian have split. Seems the rumor's true. But why should I be the one to catch the rebound? He hadn't refused outright. Negotiation still open. Waterfront project. I'll give you half a point of my margin. Marcus tapped the desk. 3 points. Taking advantage of a fire sale. I stared incredulous. 1 point. 3. 1.5. Final offer. 3. I was already grinding my teeth. Don't push me. 2 points. Ceiling. Deal. Me. Marcus. The money's irrelevant. I just enjoy helping people. Shameless 5. With Marcus locked in, I had the leverage to face the Lees. I asked for a meeting with Julian's father. He brought Julian along. My surprise of the day. After a few days' absence, Julian looked more haggard than ever. Before we entered the private dining room, he caught my arm. Why didn't you call me? What? The engagement is ours. If you wanted to talk, why not call me directly? I regarded him quietly. Sometimes I envy him, still so naive even now. You're wrong. The engagement was never just between us. Julian's eyes bored into mine, fingers tightening until it hurt. When we stepped inside, the chairman was already seated at the head of the table. After a few minutes of polite small talk, he smiled benevolently. I know Julian upset you. I brought him today. Scold him or slap him. Whatever you need. Uncle's on your side. I smiled. I asked you here to discuss the marriage between our families. Chairman, I intend to break the engagement. The relaxed atmosphere flash froze. Julian shot to his feet. I don't agree, he said, each word distinct. The chairman's face darkened. Sit down, you brat. Julian met his father's glare with a cold laugh. What? Making decisions behind my back again? You arranged the engagement against my wishes and now you'll cancel it the same way? What am I, your puppet? The chairman slammed the table. Then what the hell do you want? When we got you engaged, you refused to cooperate. 6 years of affairs later, you still stall. You've disgraced both families. If you don't want the engagement, Canled, what game are you playing? Julian froze, then dropped his gaze. The chairman gave him a long look. Get out. Julian left, taking me with him. He grabbed my hand and bolted so fast it felt like an elopement. I barely kept up. Julian, what are you doing? He tightened his grip, saying nothing. I struggled. He held harder. Ow, you're hurting me. I lost my temper, smacking his arm. That finally jolted him. He let go abruptly, eyes wide with panic. Are you okay? Frustration knotted my chest. I had no idea what stunt he was pulling. I'd assumed the loo would be the roadblock. Julian might even help. Instead, he'd become the first boulder in my path. Julian, what is this? You've wanted out for years. Now that you're getting your wish, why the tantrum? He barked, a laugh uglier than a sob. My wish. Has anyone ever cared what that is? Did either of you ask my permission before deciding my life? I began to see. So, it bruises your ego that I brought up the breakup first. Fine, you announce it. I'll even tell the whole city you dumped me. I shrugged. Actually, we can skip the drama. Didn't you already tell Instagram you've found your bride? We can cite that and call it mutual. Gone. What? I never planned to marry anyone else, he said, eyes locked on mine. I was silent a moment. But you will eventually. That realization had struck me at his birthday gala. 6 years. I was exhausted while Julian seemed to have energy to burn. The woman he'd toasted that night might not be the one, but someday someone would be. I don't do passive. I had to seize the initiative before someone seized it from me. We parted on sour terms. His parting shot. Serena, this time you don't get the final say. 6. He was right. I didn't. But neither did he. Deals are made by talking. Before seeing the chairman, I'd taken Marcus to meet grandfather. We shared a meal, chatted about nothing in particular. Nothing explicit was said. None was needed. That evening, grandfather relented. I'm old. I can't run your lives. Do what you have to do. I walked into the chairman's office the next day. 60 minutes later, the engagement was dissolved. We agreed to post the announcement on both company websites at 8 the following morning. Back home I called Marcus. So what exactly did you bribe the lease with? The daytime shark had turned languid. After leaving Lee, I phoned him suggesting dinner. He told me to come over instead. I hesitated, then decided we'd soon be family, so why play coy? Turned out he'd simply taken the day off and couldn't be bothered to go out. No hostly fuss, just 2 steaks and a bottle of red. Oddly relaxing. You overthink. Do I look like someone who swallows insults? Marcus lifted an eyebrow, inviting details. Truth is, the Lees have little leverage on me. 6 years. Nobody's a saint. It's mutual profit. Only weak spot is Clearwater. They're the lead investor. If I walked, they'd yank funding. If that happened, the land would rot in my hands, snapping my cash flow. I needed a deep-pocketed, eager sucker. A savior. Marcus clicked his tongue. Stop looking at me like that. I blinked. You're making me feel like a giant chump. My heart lurched. Could the man read minds? Impossible. You're my white knight. He gave a cold laugh. I tried again. See, I'm even offering my hand in marriage. Marcus eased back, smirking. Offer accepted. I flushed. Keep it clean. 9:30 chimed. We both pulled out our phones. Announcement drops tomorrow. When the market opens, I short the Lees. Bit of a jerk move. No. Marcus snorted, ignoring me. I peeked. What you doing? The screen made me hiss. Are you playing dirty? Marcus lifted his eyes. Takes one to know one. A bad premonition crawled up my spine. Who exactly did you buy? Marcus, the Lee family naturally, and the Vance family. I wanted to press my philtrum to keep from fainting. All I managed was a weak add-on. Go easy. Don't blow up my side. 7. The next morning, the news of the broken engagement arrived right on schedule. The internet exploded, and so did every gossip circle in the city. Wave after wave of calls and messages demanded to know what on earth had happened. Irritated beyond endurance, I posted 4 words on Instagram. Single. Don't ask. No choice. Too busy. I still had a board full of frightened directors to pacify. Julian barged straight into the conference room. My assistant looked helpless and mouthed at me. Couldn't stop him. Julian looked awful. I could see the bloodshot threads in his eyes. He seemed halfway unhinged. Wait in my office. I'll talk when the meeting ends. Julian laughed coldly. Serena, you're brutal. Absolutely brutal. Back then you said you loved me. You chased after me for years. You insisted we get engaged. You smack. I slammed a folder onto the table, cutting him off. Tong Yao, carry on with the meeting. Yes, Chairman. I glanced at Julian and walked out. He trailed me into my office. What? Embarrassed now, Serena. Every bit of this is your own doing. I never asked you for anything. Never forced you. You're the one who kept pushing. I stared at him with glacial calm. When he finally ran out of breath, I spoke. Embarrassing. True, but the shame attaches to the Lee family, not to me. Julian glared as if he wanted to swallow me alive. Julian, this isn't the first time you've burst into my meeting, but it will be the last. Try it again and security will escort you out. Julian, we're adults. Adults play by rules. Not every place is yours to enter or exit at will. He looked like I'd sucker punched him. His face drained of color in an instant. He muttered, You said you loved me. Serena, you can't. Just looking at him, I felt a wave of weariness. Julian, can you get real? Yes, I said I liked you. But when was that? The first time I told him was in high school. The last time I told him was also in high school. We were 17 then. We're 26 now. Almost 10 years. In a decade, my tastes, my palate, my style have all changed beyond recognition. I can't even remember what liking felt like back then. Besides, does my ever having liked you matter to you at all? Julian staggered back 2 steps. You stopped loving me ages ago. Of course you did. All these years, whatever stunt I pulled, you stayed indifferent. I could kiss another girl right in front of you and you pretend you hadn't seen, then warn people not to leak the photos. I kept testing your limits, but you don't have any for me. Anything short of sleeping with them is fine. Huh. As long as I don't go to bed with them, everything's allowed. Everyone thinks you're crazy in love with me. But only I know you don't love me at all. Julian snarled. Who gave you the right to say love when you feel like it, to cancel when you don't, to engage when you want, to break it when you're done? Serena, who gave you that right? I was stunned and the words slipped out. The power I have now. At the same instant I realized how off that sounded. Julian, don't tell me you actually like me. Julian went rigid. Pure reflex almost made him deny it, but he forced himself to stay quiet. I found the whole thing absurd. Julian, who on earth taught you that's how you love someone? A spark flared in Julian's eyes. I don't know how to love. I've messed up for years. I'll change. Let's not break the engagement. Okay. It was the first time he'd ever spoken to me in a voice so humble, but it was pointless. Julian, something else has changed. My standards for a partner. When I was young, I liked handsome rebels. Now I want someone who can stand shoulder to shoulder with me. You don't qualify. Julian had never met my criteria. The Lee family had, I used to think, so what if Julian's a little useless? Just don't create headaches for me. Years of evidence proved the opposite. He was nothing but a headache. 8. Marcus called. Your ex-fiancé still making trouble? I laughed. Sterling, your intel's fast. Marcus gave a cold chuckle. Not intel. Your ex-fiancé's tantrum was loud enough to hear without trying. I had a headache. The way he kept saying ex-fiancé sounded sour. Still, I wasn't about to assume he was jealous. Marcus and I are the same breed. If the roles were reversed and his side made this much noise, I'd be unhappy too. Only this once, never again. Marcus gave a non-committal grunt and hung up. I told my assistant to inform reception. From now on, Julian visits by appointment only. After a frantic day, I finally sued the board. As I was about to leave, Marcus called again. His tone was oddly pointed. Your receptionist asked me to make an appointment. Oh, I definitely overlooked something, but that wasn't the main issue. You're downstairs. Silence. From Marcus. I understood instantly. Hand the phone to reception. Once I'd sorted that out, I instructed my assistant. When Marcus arrives, don't stop him. Send him straight up. Marcus Sterling. Her eyes bulged. I nodded. She quietly gave me a thumbs up. I rolled my eyes. Marcus came up and not empty-handed. He brought dinner. I was starving, but the portions could feed a linebacker. I tried to hint that my appetite was actually quite dainty. Marcus looked at me exasperated. Ever consider I might eat too, jerk? We shoved some furniture aside and ate in my office, negotiating clear water the whole time. Soon he'll hold my lifeline. Total honesty is compulsory. By the time we finished, my stomach was satisfied and so was the deal. I asked, "Surely you didn't come just to feed me?" Marcus lifted a brow. "I've already met your grandfather. When do I get to take you home to meet my parents?" The sentence hit so suddenly I inhaled my water. It refused to go either direction. I choked and coughed violently. Marcus watched me with calculating eyes. "Don't tell me you're planning to shoot the donkey once the millstone's ground." I fought for breath. "Coffin, no way." Only then did Marcus graciously pat my back. He sniffed some composure. When the fit finally passed, I sighed. Truth is, I have zero successful experience dealing with elders. I lost my parents' young grandfather raised me. He's profit-obsessed. He trained me to be his heir. Our relationship is a ledger. Harm the bottom line and you get punished. Emotions are irrelevant. Everything is business. Marcus' parents are different. The profit tie is with Marcus, not with them. That left me at a loss. Marcus didn't care. Experience. Just find their sweet spots. Dad loves vintage pure cake. Mom loves anything beautiful. I drew a long breath. When? Next weekend. Fine. Got it. Marcus frowned at me. What? He flicked my forehead. Stop looking like you're marching to execution. I'll be there. 9. Spending time with Marcus is effortless. He's someone who can help me, even lead me. He knows distance and timing. He never makes you feel trespassed. And ever since we teamed up, my bank balance has only grown. You're not my personal money god, are you? Marcus laughed. You've got a pretty good knack for attracting wealth yourself. I stretched out my hand, satisfied. Pleasure doing business. Marcus cooperated and shook it. Pleasure doing business. I hadn't seen Julian in ages. Just when I'd nearly forgotten he existed, he showed up on my doorstep looking a wreck. Lately, he'd been wild, choosing ever deadlier stretches of road to race, staying at the VIP lounge later and later. Every day my Instagram feed was a kaleidoscope of neon and booze. I even fielded a few calls, guys saying Julian wouldn't leave, insisting I come get him. Most of those callers got blocked. Eventually the noise died down. I never thought he'd camp outside my house. He stood by the door, a bottle clutched in one hand. All the life drained out of him like a walking corpse. I pretended not to notice and keyed myself in. Julian grabbed my wrist. Let go, Julian, I warned under my breath. His hand trembled. Just as I debated calling 911, he released me. I exhaled. As the door was closing, Julian spoke. I know everything now. I froze. No. What? He lifted his eyes, wet, glittering. Even his lips were shaking. Dad told me. If you hadn't agreed to our engagement back then, he'd have brought his illegitimate home ages ago. Julian raised an arm to shield his eyes. He actually has an illegitimate 2 years younger than me, and I never knew. The day after we broke the engagement, he installed the kit at headquarters. I had no clue. Recently, he transferred 2% of the company to him. Still, I knew nothing. Not until yesterday when he marched him through the front door. Said he's my little brother. Told me to play nice. How am I supposed to do that? Is he insane? I put the illegitimate in the hospital. And Dad says, if it weren't for you, he'd have replaced me as heir long ago. Julian dropped his arm. His rims were blood red. Serena, am I a total failure? I answered flatly, yes, a complete failure. Julian gave a one laugh. So you really do hate me? Not even a scrap of comfort. He was drunk. Reason was pointless. Julian stepped back, slumping against the wall. I'm always the one left behind. As a kid, I fought him, rebelled, thought every no I handed him hurt. I figured wrecking myself was punishment enough for him. But he'd already written me off, grooming another heir. And you? He stared at me, half crying, half sneering. While I was scheming how to make you notice me, you'd already stopped loving me. Only I kept spinning in circles. The rest of you moved on. Everyone's discarded me. No one waited. Not a single person. He circled the same complaints, sinking deeper into himself. I called his best friend. Minutes later, the guy roared up in his sports car. He looked at me and sighed. What curse ties you two have? I smiled without answer. Won't give him one last chance. I shook my head. You just called it cursed. He clenched his teeth, hauled Julian up. Knew he'd regret it. Serves him right. 10. Julian's drama left me mourning a scrap of youth, but otherwise it didn't dent my life. What stumped me were gifts from Marcus's parents. His mother loved beauty, yet perfume or skincare felt cliché. I chose a diamond necklace. Women and diamonds till death. For his father, tea was the only option. I shortlisted a few vintage pear cakes and asked grandfather to pick. He scanned the list and spat 4 words. Petty provincial thinking. I paid serious money. I protested. Grandfather snorted. Wait. Moments later he produced a plain cake. Take this. I stared at the shabby wrapper. You want me thrown out on my ear? He rolled his eyes. Ignorant pup. 1 of mine equals 10 of yours. Seriously, scram. I took it anyway. Free loot. Before I left he lectured. Mind your manners. When elders speak, listen. No back talk. I was speechless. Wanted to retort. When do I ever? But that would prove his point. I swallowed the comeback and shut up. Weekend arrived. Marcus picked me up. I sat mute as a sun-off log. The silence in the car could smother. Suddenly, Marcus closed his hand over mine. What are you doing? Lending you some warmth, afraid you'll keel over before we arrive. I studied him. Pretty sure you're just copying a feel. Marcus let out a cool laugh. Isn't it my right? Fine. Absolutely, you're right. The Sterling house was warmer than I'd pictured. Marcus's father cooked delicious. His mother seemed born to look stunning. Former actress after all. They adored the gifts. His mom clasped the diamond necklace on the spot. Then the conversation swerved. His dad asked, "So when's the wedding?" Marcus looked at me. "When do you want to get married?" I itched to smack him. Classic deflection. I answered, "Up to Marcus. I'll follow his lead." Marcus held my gaze. I arched a brow. He said, "My plan: license at month end, ceremony by year end." I blinked. His mother beamed, dragging us into wedding planner mode. I floated out in a daze. Money talks were easier. Marcus drove me home outside my building. Dead serious. He said what I said today. Think it over. Think over what month-end license? Year-end wedding. I'm a businessman. Marcus added. Time to raise the stakes on our partnership. That night, I lay in bed weighing pros and cons until I tangled myself. 1 glass of water later, clarity struck. Marcus had handed me a fake dilemma. I'd set out to marry him. Sooner or later, did timing matter? Clearly not. I texted, "Marcus, you're such a pain." He replied. I ignored him and slept like a baby. Next morning I messaged, "Pick a day. Let's get the license." Marcus stared. "You sure?" I frowned. "Weren't we always heading for marriage?" Marcus nodded heartfelt. "President Vance, you're terrifying." Years later, after our daughter could toddle, Marcus confessed back then he'd figured every girl wants romance, so he'd been sketching a proposal scene, but President Vance was allergic. "So you dropped it?" "Yep. Sterling CEOs have thin skin," scared the boss would laugh. 11. We scheduled City Hall for 3 days later, the very day Marcus would formally fund Clearwater. Release the marriage certificate online right after the press release. Win-win. The market would light up crimson. Today, the Lee family was sending someone to talk next phase partnership. To my surprise, it was Julian. 2 seconds of shock. Then I stood and offered my hand. "President Lee, a pleasure." Julian held on a fraction too long before releasing. "President Vance, the pleasure's mine." No small talk. Straight to business. What I hadn't expected was that Julian didn't seize the moment to tack on a single extra clause. Every contract followed the earlier draft. "Rest easy, President Vance," he said. "Our personal matter won't affect the partnership between our families." I had no idea whether Julian had pulled any strings behind the scenes. It didn't matter. Only a fool refuses a free lunch. So we signed brisk and efficient. "President Vance, may I take you to dinner?" Of course. Since Julian had decided to play an active role at headquarters, we would be seeing plenty of each other. Dodging was pointless. If you can't avoid it, charge straight in. President Vance doesn't scare. He picked a restaurant I frequent, though it was my first time going with him. He ordered most of my favorites and I pretended not to notice. I lifted my glass. "Thanks for the hospitality, Chairman. Here's to smooth cooperation." Julian gave a rueful smile. Do we have to be this stiff? The engagement's dissolved. Can't we even be friends? More friends, more paths. I set the glass down. Of course we can. Julian froze. His complexion pad. So you really feel nothing for me anymore? My head began to throb. I'd threaded 1,000 flowers without ever realizing he was such a romantic. Julian, now that you're at headquarters, focus on the job. Stop cluttering your head with nonsense. He stared without blinking. If I do well, will you give me another chance? I was momentarily blank. Chance at what, Serena? He said, I'm not giving up on you. My feelings tangled. How could I tactfully tell him I was about to marry someone else? Julian, you're free to do whatever you want. Just don't do it for me. I don't foot the bill for anyone else's life. So all these years you never once advised me. Whatever I chose was my business, nothing to do with you. The instant I crossed your line, you kicked me to the curb. Is that it? His emotions flared. I looked at him. Are you blaming me? Panic flickered across his eyes. That's not what I meant. I rubbed my temples. Julian, I'm a year younger than you. Every step I took, I stumbled and scraped for myself. I still can't be sure I picked the right road. What makes me qualified to map out yours? Same line as before. Do whatever you want, just don't drag me in. I'm not paying for your life. I stood to leave. Julian reached out to stop me. At that moment, the private dining room door swung open. Marcus walked in. I mentioned to the manager, you were here. I stepped forward and looped my arm through his. Marcus, meet my husband. Ignoring Julian's dazed, blood-drained face, I led Marcus out. What? Using me? What? You're not using me? Am I? Has the law acknowledged it yet? Then let me exercise a few early wife privileges. Any objection? Marcus chuckled and laced his fingers through mine. Of course not, Sterling. Julian looked as though I'd stabbed him. He grabbed me in front of everyone, careless of the scene. Don't do this, Serena. Don't do this to me. You're lying, right? You're getting back at me, aren't you? His eyes begged. Before I could answer, Marcus tugged me behind him. Lee, have some dignity. Get lost. Julian snarled. His eyes were bloodshot. Give Serena back to me. Marcus smiled thinly. Your engagement is over, Lee. Julian swung a fist. This is between Serena and me. None of your business. I hadn't expected violence. Gasping, I moved to shield Marcus, but he sidestepped, twisted, and pinned Julian to the wall. Are you hurt? I scanned Marcus anxiously. The light in Julian's eyes died when he saw my concern. I lost my temper. Julian, this is pathetic. Whether your regret is real or fake, we've called off the wedding, so chew your feelings. Swallow the blood and stop harassing me. Marcus and I left for the underground garage. Before I opened the car door, he caught my wrist. What is it? He studied me, smiling. Theo Vance is seriously cool. I think I like you a little. I arched a brow. Just a little, Marcus. Fine, a bit more. I straightened his collar. Theo Vance approves. We had a partnership. We would marry. We might even spend our lives together. I didn't mind building something real with Marcus. 2 days later, we rose at dawn, reached City Hall, and found my assistant had already pulled our number. Shoulders touching, foreheads brushing, we posed for the license photo. My heartbeat sped up. No point denying it. We secured the marriage certificate at lightning speed and raced back to headquarters. Marcus' capital injection was formally completed. The official website simultaneously posted the partnership announcement and our marriage certificate. Sterling, happy wedding day and fruitful cooperation. Sterling, happy wedding day and fruitful cooperation. After getting the license, Marcus and I moved in together. We chose a property he owned, convenient to both our offices. We meshed professionally and personally. Life turned lavishly comfortable. With the wind at my back, I started expanding my empire. Any sector that smelled of profit lured me in. Can't help it. When you've got a backer, you play bold. Before long, the media crowned us the money-making couple. I wore the label with pride. I hadn't followed Julian's movements in ages. When news reached me again, he'd already been deported abroad. Piqued my curiosity. Yes, his father was disappointed. Cultivating the illegitimate was partly a safety buffer, partly pressure on Julian. Catfish effect, a cornered beast fight. Heirs who believe their family owns a throne love that game. Julian's dad, grandfather, take your pick. Yet outright abandonment had seemed unlikely, especially now that Julian was finally applying himself. So what happened? When in doubt, asked CEO Sterling, Marcus said offhandedly. He tried to burn the house down with both of us inside. His father caught wind of it. Burn it down? How? Julian's plan was simple. Steal business, cost and profit be damned. But he held no real authority the moment he issued the order. His father knew. A ferocious row erupted. Julian shouted that he would make Marcus pay. That tantrum sealed his father's decision to keep him from trouble. He packed Julian off overseas. Why didn't you tell me? Marcus glanced sideways. Tell you what, that your ex-fiancé chose beauty over an empire? I'm not that bored. Far from bored, Marcus juggled deals and geared up for our year-end wedding. I suggested outsourcing it, maybe lining up sponsors. He cut me off with a kiss. By the time he stopped, I'd forgotten the topic. In the end, he threw a wedding so lavish it felt like a dream. Julian attended, dressed to the nines, looking ready to steal the bride. Yet, he did nothing, only sat in silence and slipped away. Later Marcus kissed me. Sterling, he said, for the rest of our lives your move the